So the AI boom continues, and now we have some physical products that are released. One is the Rabbit R1, and one is the Humane AI Pin, two products that have just released over the couple of weeks that have been just kind of reviewed terribly. They're expensive and they don't really offer much new or interesting. They're just kind of a mid product at best when it works. And I want to talk about some of my issues with the product that some of these tech reviews haven't actually talked about. So what are these products initially? So they are sort of AI companions that you bring around with you. They are a device that you can talk to and ask it questions, and the AI will talk back to you with its response. You can take a photo as seen in that camera there, and that AI can tell you what that it sees, and you can ask it something specific about that photo. Specifically with the Rabbit R1, it can communicate with certain apps, about 4 apps. It can do Uber Eats, so you can ask it to a sort of human-like sort of surprise me with this order, and it'll choose something maybe of a certain interest. Same with music, like can you pick me a song that fits this theme, for example, and it will try and do that. It might seem cool, but I think these products are actually very redundant and what I would categorize as e-waste. They are just wasteful and just kind of bad for the environment. A lot of people have been talking about is why isn't this an app, and that is 100% true. This could definitely be an app. We'll get over some of the tech constraints and some of the app's issues with the finances as well. My sort of first issue with this is it can be made into an app relatively easily, and in fact I did do a whole video on getting an AI language model on an old server, and so if you want to check out that video and see how that easy that is and it was to do, then and in that video I use Ollama, which is Meta's sort of model database where you can just download and run models. And it's incredibly easy to in fact run. It runs on pretty much any operating system, Mac, Windows, Linux, no issue. And all it really is just that you install it with the Docker image and you do Ollama run. Then whatever language model you have downloaded, and then you can make requests to it. And it also has February this year, vision models, meaning that you can pass it an image and you can tell it, hey, what do you see in this image? And it will give you a response back. These are all just the APIs. So you could make a nice little web app for your phone to connect to on your own private server through your own VPN and get better and faster responses than the Rabbit R1 and the Humane AI Pin. As you connect to the internet, they might not have as fast system to run it on because they've got to deal with multiple requests at the same time, and also there's also latency issues. So there's that delay, but with if you built your own, you could have very, very fast responses depending on how good your hardware is. And there's a very nice wide selection of models to choose from. You have the very good Mistral 7B models. They are decently sized. You need a few gigabytes of RAM for this. But you can get some much larger ones like a 42B, and the responses are very good. They're also uncensored as well. I mean, you can ask it more controversial questions without it banning you, like something like the online chat GPT. And you have very small models, 3.8 like B, which is it won't have as obviously as much details, but they're nice and small, compact, and they can run on very small devices. In fact, people have actually managed to get something like 5.3 running on a Raspberry Pi, which then leads on to my next question, is that one of the major reasons that I think the Rabbit R1 and the Humane AI Pin are redundant is because you do need an internet connection. You're buying the device to just be able to connect to the internet to then receive the response back, rather than it running a local llama on your own device that you could connect to and talk to, and you wouldn't have that delay. It read through the tokens. Nice little small model that specifies and is fine-tuned for something very specific, give you really interesting responses that your phone can't do without, unless you search on the internet or use GTP 3.5. For something like a small little model, you talk to it and you get a nice quick response because there's no internet or latency delay. The founder of the company has, sort of is responding to these like tweets and snippets from the reviews, specifically from mkbhd, who one of his big issues was the product now is just not useful. You tell the AI to do something, but then you need to get your phone out just to check if his response is reliable, because one big issue of AI is it likes to hallucinate. It's just not that accurate enough, causing it to think something wrong, causing all sorts of issues. And both the Humane AI Pin the Rabbit R1 have had this issue, making it very just, again, like I said, redundant. If it can't give you accurate responses, and if you've got a phone there which you can do at half the speed, then that's going to be a huge advantage. And his response is like, oh, for people, it's like, it's like FOMO, for people who've got it now, the future product will be better, but it's like the product now should be good. And someone did comment, hey, so I can see how little people know about running LLMs on the computer. You need to dumb to think you can run an LLM on a phone. Obviously, most LLMs need more RAM than what most phones have. He said, unfortunately, I 100% agree with you, which I 100% think you should really have been focusing on that, building a nice fine-tuned model for these small devices. Or rather than having this little AI companion pin, because the thing is, you've got a screen, you've got a little scroll bar, it has a camera, it has a speakerphone, it has a little, all these features. What if you just removed all that, had a box that was about the size of a Raspberry Pi, maybe a little Apple TV Mini that you either carried around with you, had a little connection, a Wi-Fi connection or a Bluetooth connection. Maybe Bluetooth is too unreliable, that your phone could then connect to with the proprietary app that you have, that then sends a response locally to the device that you're carrying with you. That means those expenses that went onto the screen, all those features, could have been gone into more RAM, a better processor, and better or larger battery packs. Or even better, is a small server that you put at your home, connect to your Wi-Fi. You can then just connect it remotely from your phone using it, and just use it the same thing. That means you don't need to build a camera for your thing, you don't need to build a touchscreen, you don't need a speaker. All the phone has all that integration, and you just open it to such a wide audience. It means you can really specialize on the AI part rather than building a product that has to suit for that AI. And what I think is very funny about this is that, oh, you need this. Well, Apple and Google haven't been there twiddling their thumbs just waiting. Google have Gemini project and the Apple have Ferret project, which they have been working behind the doors, really, not really making any public announcements, but they have been dropping models that have been free to use. And actually, not that long ago, this is what happened. Apple released OpenELM. So an ELM is efficient language model. So that's just a model that they are super fine-tuning to get very accurate responses without it being very large, like a large language model. And they can see that OpenELM exhibits a 22.3% improvements in accuracy compared to an open large model, and requiring two times fewer pre-trained tokens. So you're reducing the size of the model while also raising the accuracy. And these are small models going up to 270 million, so obviously not going to be cutting edge, but nice and small. And they just kind of dropped this silently. What they didn't even say was that this has the possibility of running on a smartphone. Apple are already making their efforts to build an AI, possibly to integrate with your Siri, that just runs on your phone and you don't need an internet connection, which I think is just such a better idea. The internet and smartphones are so good, The Google Lens, when you take a photo, it's very accurate, it's very fast. If you have a good internet connection, it will give you comparisons of images. If you can find an exact image, it will link you to that. But it's very good if you get a Google Lens photo of like a plant, and it will give you, here's what it thinks, here's the plants that it kind of looks like, and it's just, you get to pick and choose. With the AI of Rabbit R1, it's like, hey, this is what I think it is. Well, could it be anything else? Does it look like anything else? Which is an issue. So it says here they are suited for running on commodity laptops or even some smartphones. So, Apple's pay notes that the benchmarks will run on they did run it on a high end with a good amount on Ubuntu. They also run on an Apple Mac as well, which is, kind of nice. So they're working towards building these nice lightweight models. They say obviously they're respectable but not bleeding edge. So you can see the comparison to how they do to other situations. So very cool. And it's just, I think, another issue that kind of making these things just maybe in the long run not last. Once, Apple, these are Apple's own models, and I'm not really sure what a Rabbit R1 or Humane AI pins models are. They could actually just be an Ollama model that I downloaded, maybe changed a bit. But I kind of doubt that, because they are specifically with Rabbit R1, which is just an action model, which means it can interact with apps and make decisions. My other issue with this product is, well, people have been doing kind of these interesting examples, which kind of shows how impressive AI tech is. But so this one is just blew my mum's phone rabbit on to transcribe this hand-drawn spreadsheet into a CSV file with Vision. So it's an open action model, so you can ask it, hey, make this into a spreadsheet, and it will send you this file via email. And so for her, it was a 70, but she immediately understood that the potential for large action models, because all she had to do was talk to it. So people who are tech illiterate or various things such as vision impaired, so if someone can't see very well, they can get the AI, hey, what do you see for me? And it just explains it for them. Very powerful tool for those people. But my issue is that, well, we'll ignore the fact that this person's drew the spreadsheet, which a lot of people point out, like, why don't you just write the spreadsheet? Which is actually, completely fair, but it is just, I guess, just an example. But with the app on, you still need an internet, you still need a smartphone to connect to, and obviously an email to send that file for. Same with the humane AI pin, you need a smartphone device. So it actually doesn't even really support the tech illiterate, because you need the device previously. You need a smartphone. You can't just buy a product and use them straight out. It's that barrier once again. It's like, oh, yes, it's great for these vision impaired, but you still need the devices that we currently use, which is just another reason. It's like, if I need a smartphone, I'll use a smartphone. I can't use this without a smartphone. These companies also received huge amount of funding. So the humane AI had a total of $241 million. And in fact, even Sam Altman put in funding during the Series A, which is known as OpenAI, that went into funding into it. And it just, obviously, they just went into building this product that didn't really need to exist, or at least in this form. It's just so, the AI is so early, I think that funding should have gone all into just building a model that is so fine-tuned, so precise, that can be used. If they had a model specifically focused on, like, cooking, for example, so I could have this local language model, or again, the one that's in a little server one at home, and then if I could have it, I'd have my smartphone or whatever, and ask it, what can I cook with these ingredients, and it will give you a nice recipe that's been trained on, and it'll tell you how you cook it. And if that was its focus, I think that would be great. And you could just swap out large language models if you wanted something more specific to gardening in a specific region, for example, like the United Kingdom, or those areas where it's niche to that area. Not only that, you're sort of trimming the fat, really. You don't need to include anything from tropical regions because you can't grow anything there. These small fine-tuned AI models, I think there's a lot of potential. Yeah, the big ones are great because you can just, get so much information. Claude 3 Opus, really great for programming, but I also like to see what you can do with small models. I think it's quite nice to have, on your laptop or something, have a little model on the side that can help you programming, and it means you don't need to pay for that $20 subscription fee on those large services. But I guess, they probably wouldn't have got funding if they just said it's another app that runs AI. They said we're going to build this product that competes with smartphones. For investors, that might sound a lot more interesting. So I wouldn't recommend buying these products. Just not accurate, they're unreliable, they're costly. I think, to me, $200, that's still a lot of money for such a product like this. The longevity of these products is unknown. While they do make these promises of, oh yeah, we're going to release software updates, you buy the product now, you get what you get now. Because they could just release a better product that you have to pay for. I'd also say that with one caveat to Rabbit R1, it's just that $200 price tag, but you're still connected to a server. Response, you get an AI generated response. It's a lot of processing power is required to do that, to read all those tokens. And so if you're just paying that $200 tag, in the long run, how's that going to work? How are they going to make more money or profit from that? Humane AI does have a subscription on top of that, which just makes it just why would I want to, I have to buy this product and then I have to buy the subscription on top. Why can't I just buy the subscription, which gives me access to the app on your phone, which we know that there's issues with, particularly with the App Store guidelines. Stuff like iPhone might not allow Apple Match AI, and that goes against our guidelines, say with Google, plus they take a 30% cut. But for the consumer, it's just the easiest option. Most consumers are going to want, hey, I want this app that I can just call to and it can integrate with all the stuff I have. That's what I would want. That's something cool. But let's look at what there is on the competitors. So we can pay up to $800, in fact, or go for the complete set of charging cable, everything. But remember, GPT-4, Claude 3 Opus exists, and they are about $20 a month. you could either buy, for example, Rabbit R1, $200 in total, or 10 months of Claude 3, Opus, and GPT-4, which we already have been around for a while and are very good, great for coding, great for helping you create concept ideas. You know what, for me, is he does a lot of programming. I love it. They greatly increase my productivity while also helping me with issues that I might not understand and giving me coding examples. Obviously, me who's used AI a lot, responses aren't always great, and you have to be knowledgeable in those areas to know where it goes wrong, which is sort of an issue with these products because you're not certain if they are right, and you may just accept that as the truth if you're not super knowledgeable in that area. And with this, you have to obviously pay for the $24 on top. So it's got it costs more than those product services that are currently available. So you could just buy, for example, the API access, which is cost based on like token amount of like connections you make, for example. Make a little web app that you personally use and just make the request for yourself. That means you don't need to buy this physical product for $700. You don't need to pay for the $24. You just need to pay for the API access and I guess have the programming knowledge to build that web app. That, well, really, there are already on GitHub. People have already built these Dockerized and little applications that you can just run a little server on like a Raspberry Pi, for example. And I said it's e-waste, and that's because it's just physical product that doesn't need to exist. Resources and such have gone into building these products that are just gonna either be possibly just thrown away or whatnot. Same with the Rabbit R1, when again it could be used as an app, as people say, which is then you don't need to use all the plastics or whatnot, the metals that could be just used elsewhere more useful. It seems very wasteful. It's sort of more rubbish that we're just making and throwing away. Not great. We shouldn't really be doing that. We should be more mindful about that. And so what's your opinion on these AI products? Do you think they're kind of cool? Do you think, hey, actually, what's this a use case that you think is really great? What exactly? The vision impaired? That's a pretty good use case. But a lot of examples I've seen are looking at an M&M packet and telling it to explain it and stuff. There's like, again, whip out your phone and do a Google Lens. It doesn't take that long, and it'll tell you the details you need to know. They can be more creative with however you tell it to respond, but the thing I've seen is just a lot of people just telling it to do things that you can already do. It's just I don't really understand the use for it. I can already do all these things on my phone. Instead, I'm just now talking to an AI, which is might not be correct. But yeah.